I was in the middle of my trip and I realized that I do not like to be alone.
Recovery Vow is sponsored by Aggressors Adventure, Posey Funeral Directors, and Craig International, among many other sponsors. Thank you for your support. Abbie, thank you so much for being on the Recovery Vow podcast. I am so honored to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Don't be nervous. There's only a couple million people listening.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on the TV screen, and so this. Yep. But listen, we're going to talk today about you. This whole episode is about you.
Okay.
So, as we talk about you, tell me what life was like. Where did you grow up at?
Well, I was born and raised in Harris County in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay.
I moved here about 9 years ago, almost 9 years ago, my sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really anything else to that. It's a small town. Moved here, big town.
Big town.
Mm-hmm.
All right, tell me how small
Like
that town was.
One stoplight town. Lived behind the Circle K.
Yeah. I grew up in a little town called Wagner,
mm-hmm.
and there was a racist doctor that he could cure a cold in a heartbeat.
Love that.
Yeah. So, but that's where I partied at. I feel like small towns is where a lot of parties happen at, though, because there's nothing else to do.
There's really not. I mean, we moved around a lot when we lived there. Then when we moved here, that's when, life kind of went a little downhill for me, like right before we moved here.
Tell me what was downhill look like? What happened?
I got real suicidal because of a boy.
Those stinkers.
Yeah. And then my depression started and I got really bad anxiety around this time. I've always had anxiety even when I was little. I got bullied a lot in school. My parents got a better job opportunity, so that's why we moved, because they wanted to get me out of the situation that I was in. It really just got a little worse from there, and then it got better. Yeah. And now I'm here.
And here you are.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you now?
23.
23. So when you moved from one red light to the big city of Augusta, how old were you?
15, and I turned 16 when we moved here.
And you'd already had been trying different things, or?
Well, I smoked a little weed
mm-hmm.
back then, but I didn't do anything crazy.
So you had no idea like you could become addicted to anything then?
Mm-mm.
What happened? What happened that brought you to the realization that I have a problem?
My parents, really. My family, like in a drug aspect. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like when did you start using and it became an addiction?
I graduated high school. I smoked weed throughout high school a lot. And then I had gotten with a boy. I moved out. That's when I kind of turned on my family because he was bad news. He was a narcissist. He just was mean to me, would beat on me kind of thing.
Really?
Yeah, it was pretty crappy. We had moved in to my mom's house because he got let go of his job. Then we moved out of my mom's house with his sister. That's when I started experimenting with different drugs. It was mainly psychedelics. I was on psychedelics.
Like shrooms and stuff?
LSD, DMT.
Whoa.
Yeah, DMT, ketamine. Coke wasn't really my thing.
It was mine. How about LSD? How did you do LSD? Was it like a dropper or something?
No, they were tabs. They were paper tabs or gel tabs.
They're like this big?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did that one night.
Yeah, they were rough. The first time I ever took one, I do remember they tried to microdose me. I ended up taking 3 of them.
That's not a microdose. That's a microburst.
Yeah. It was real out there.
I like you do that little woo.
Yeah, it was out there.
Tell me a memory from LSD that you'd be like, okay, that's hilarious. I did that.
God, there's so many. I do remember there was one night that I was sitting under the stars, because that's what I like to do, is just sit on a blanket, look at the stars, and it looked like 2 turtles that we're like Ninja Turtles. We're fighting each other with the clouds. And I just laughed about it for hours. And everybody thought I was crazy. I was like, y'all don't see that? It's funny. But they didn't see it like how I saw it.
They were doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember riding around and we were drinking this stuff called, I guess back then it was called jungle juice. It could have been hunch punch, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Just like where you put all these different liquors in this cooler and it's just fruit and everything. And anyway, we were drinking that and then we did this LSD that was these little tabs. And the only reason I'm smiling is because it was a good time. It was just the stupidest, crazy stuff that you would do. Like I had this one buddy of mine who dyed his hair and shaved his eyebrows, and I wrote a song, and I'm not even a singer. It's like
it's like that.
But it scared me to death too because I remember it kept me up. Like I remember being up for like a day, and then we did crank or something, and it kept us up for even longer. And I think after you miss probably a good night's sleep or 2 nights worth of sleep, your mind's like
it's rough.
Yes, especially seeing the sun come up.
Yeah, with LSD, people went into it thinking it's just another drug. Me, I kind of went into it. I want to think about what can I find out about myself, and every time I always found out something new about myself that I.
So it became like your drug of choice because of that.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean. I didn't like the whole not sleeping all the time.
Yeah.
And I never really had any bad trips. I was always a happy person when I did. One time I had a really bad one where I had bad thoughts about my mom, my actual mom, my mom. And I was like, I don't like this at all. I actually moved back in with my parents and I had left and went and hung out with my ex-boyfriend's sister, and I had tripped and I came home and it was me and her got into a fight. Me and my mom got into a screaming match. It was just ugly. And I just knew at that point that I just didn't need to do it anymore.
Yeah.
The last time I did it was July 1st of 2021. And I was by myself and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
How many times do you think you've done it leading up to that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
And when you say you were experimenting because you wanted to find out things about yourself, did you find out things about yourself?
Yeah, like the situation that I was in, I put myself in that situation and I shouldn't be in it. Mm-hmm. And that was a constant thing that if I stay in the situation, I'm going to kill myself. Like, not like I'm going to die, like, if I stay in the situation.
Gotcha.
I mean, my ex-boyfriend's beating on me.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. I didn't talk to my parents. My family didn't trust me. It was just, I was missing out on my nephew's life, watching him grow up.
What did you do that took the trust away?
He had gotten into my head, saying that they were terrible, that they were controlling me. I had saved up some money with my parents. I called the cops on them, and that was the starting point of that because he wanted my money.
Oh.
And they wanted me to save it so I can get my first car. And I did go and get my first car, but it was under his name. So when he left, he took the car with him, which is fine,
Yeah.
Not on my credit, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole hot mess.
Walk me through what your darkest moment was, if you don't mind.
It was probably when me and him had moved in with his dad, and we were up all night, and he threw my phone, and it got real ugly, and it got physical, and he told me to leave, so I went to go get my stuff and leave. And then he comes back, and he's like, "You're not going anywhere," calling me all these names. And at this point, I had already been struggling really bad with depression and anxiety. I had hit him because he was in my face, which
You punched him pretty good?
I backhanded him because of the way that he was speaking to me. And that was the one and only time I ever put my hands on him because he wouldn't let me leave. He put me to the ground, and then he almost broke my arm by slamming it into a door. Yeah. And then I went to my parents' house afterwards. They asked me about the bruises, and of course I lied.
Yeah.
That was probably that was a rough part.
And then what was like rock bottom when it came to the drugs? Not to compare those two, but like...
It was my 20th birthday. No, my 19th birthday. We were living with his sister, and it was a run-down trailer. And I was sitting there by myself. Of course, when you sit by yourself when you're on drugs, your mind gets to going, gets to thinking. It's a crazy, scary place to be.
Were you listening to music?
I don't remember.
Or were you just sitting alone?
I think I was just by myself and just looking around. I was like, this is not the life that my parents would have wanted for me. And of course, go and do more drugs, try to take that feeling away, try to hide the pain, all that good stuff. That's probably rock bottom right there.
What was your drug of choice then?
It was still, ketamine. I was doing ketamine.
Tell me what that is.
It's a horse tranquilizer.
I thought that was like I thought ketamine was the fake weed.
That's, are you talking about like CBD or Delta 8?
No.
You snort ketamine. They give it to people in the back of ambulances and stuff.
How did you know that was okay to use?
I didn't. They just gave it to me and told me to take it, and I did.
At least you were young enough to know that this one needs to be rock bottom, and you can make these decisions to make it better, right? You feel good about the decision you made?
I do. I feel a lot better. I feel cleaner.
How many years ago was that? You said you're 20?
It was...
You were 19?
2021. I was... May, June, July. I had just turned 20, right? Or just turned, I think so.
Yeah, we'll say that. Now, do you count that as your sobriety date? And then did you start like some kind of a sobriety program from that?
No,
or did you just go cold turkey?
Cold turkey. I stopped.
How was it? Because I've never known anybody to do horse tranquilizers.
It was rough.
Do you have DTs from that? Like where your cravings and...
No, I mean, not... I sometimes get cravings for, like, psychedelics, but not ketamine.
Not the ketamine.
Yeah. Just because I want to feel that feeling sometimes.
Yeah.
But...
And nothing's ever triggered you since then?
I've come close, but I was like, let me not.
What do you feel like you did that just made you say... I'm not going to do it. Did you just think through what the situation was, or, how is it going to make you better, or, what tomorrow looks like?
I thought about my nephew a lot, and how if I was to start that again, that I would not be able to be a part of his life.
Sounds like you're really close to him.
Oh, I'm going to start crying. I'm so sorry.
You better cry. That's what this is for.
He's my man. He's my dude. I love him.
How old is he?
He just turned 6.
Oh,
yeah.
I got a little baby girl that's 6.
I love him, and I missed out a lot of his life. The first 3 years of his life, I really missed out on.
Yeah.
But I'm so sorry.
It's fine. No, that's what this is for. You can cry. It's okay.
But I'm an ugly crier.
So is Oprah.
You're right. If she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. You got a car you want to give away? Okay.
I don't.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
What do you feel like clicked, though, that says, I'm not doing this anymore? And what did you do to stay that way?
The last time...
I mean, I know you said the nephew, but there has to be something that you saw in yourself, right?
I was at home by myself. My parents were not there. I tripped for the last time by myself. Me and an ex-boyfriend recently split up of 3 years, and he was my rock through the whole thing. He knew about all the situations I've been through, the drugs, everything. Bless him. I hope he gets what he needs out of life. But I was in the middle of my trip, and I realized that I do not like to be alone. And I got really emotional, and I was hyperventilating, and I was throwing up. And I called him, and he was like, well, you tell me what you want to do. I will be a part of every step of the way, whatever you need to do. I was like, I don't think that I want to do this anymore. I've done it long enough. I feel like it's messing with my brain more than it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, well, what can I do to help you? I was like, just be there.
You just needed to be your friend.
And he said, okay. And he came over the next day, and I was still awake. I hadn't slept all night. I was throwing up a lot when he got there, and he, got the throw up off me and everything else. And he was like, you are strong, and I believe in you. If nobody else believes in you, I do. And I haven't touched it since.
You gotta be proud of that.
I am.
You should be.
I am. I've come a long way from where I used to be.
So that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys still friends now?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a big part of my life for almost 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't talk as much, but that's okay.
Yeah. There's a reason to get brought into your life. Maybe it wasn't to, be a husband or anything like that, but it sounds like he was brought in there for that reason if he helped you get through that first day.
He did, and I'm very thankful for him.
Yeah. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So what's life been like over these last, few years of sobriety?
Fun. I mean, I've built bonds with both my moms and my sister. I've gotten friends, lost friends.
That's going to happen.
And it is throughout life. And, my anxiety is not as bad as it used to be. It's still there.
I think all of us addicts live with some kind of anxiety.
Oh, absolutely. Cried, laugh.
But you're working? Got a job?
I do. I finally have a stable job. When I was going through that whole thing, I couldn't keep a job.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have money ever. But now I have my own house and my own vehicle that...
Look at you being an adult.
I know. I'm very proud of myself.
You should be.
And, I just living life, I guess.
So you get to spend some time with your nephew?
I do, when I can.
Mm-hmm.
I did live with my sister, but I moved out, and that's when I got my own place. So...
Do you feel like are you in a hurry to get married and have kids, or you're okay with how things are right now and just enjoy it?
I think I'm okay right now, but I would love to. I mean, my biggest thing is I've always wanted to be a mom and a wife and all kinds of things. It'll come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got
plenty of time.
Plenty time, bro.
Yeah.
Plenty time. I didn't have my last one until I was almost 40.
Well,
you got plenty of time. Part of your story, and I think how we connected, was I helped you get into the baptism pool when you decided to get baptized.
Mm-hmm.
What made you make that decision?
I needed to make a larger step in life. I always longed for the feeling of trying to understand my faith. For a long time, I always believed in science. I still believe in science. I think evolution's definitely a thing. But I wanted to feel something more, and I needed that. And it's helped me a lot. I talk to God every day.
Good.
I pray for myself. I called her just the other day and asked her if she would just sit down and pray with me. I read the Bible. I have notes on my phone. Getting baptized was the next step that I need to take in my own life. Since getting sober, I have this thing where if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it and not back down from it.
Yeah.
So it needed to happen, and I feel better about myself.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
How long ago was that now?
That was in May. May 5th.
That's right. We have so many baptisms here. I lose count. We're doing another one in December. But, I love hearing stories like this because I feel like you can't see all these people right now, but there's going to be somebody that hears this podcast and it's going to be, I don't know. It may not be right away, and she may not be your age. She may be older, and she just needed to hear your story. Same as it's just no coincidence, just like you meeting that guy that maybe you guys dated, but then he was just at the right place at the right time when you needed him to be. And so your story is going to be that. So I want you to be proud of that too.
Thank you.
As we kind of get to a point where we close, like what questions do you have these days? Like, what are you taught to yourself about?
Like about it?
About, the past, like, because you've moved on now. It's been a while, but I mean, when you have these talks with God and you're doing, your own house and your own job and your own car, I know those are proud moments, but what are you praying for?
The strength to continue to do what I'm doing.
That's good.
I always wonder, like, why. I'm always told never to ask God why, ever. But I always want to know why I went through what I went through. And why am I at a point where I'm stronger now than I was then.
Do you feel like he's preparing you for something greater?
Absolutely, every day.
Okay.
Every day.
I think he is too. I think he's going to use you just like he used me in my story to help other people.
And I talk to other people, like I have a friend at work and she lost her daughter to drugs. And, she asks me questions all the time and she wants to hear my story. And, her friends want to hear my story and other people that I've been friends with, and I've had, a girl one time, she heard my story and she just cried and cried. And she was like, you don't know how bad that I need just to hear that somebody else been through what I've been through.
That's what I was going to say. I think that in those situations as parents, right, especially if you lose your child to addiction, and we've had moms on here and dads on here that have lost their kids, but they want you to lay all your stuff out on the table so that they can compare it to what their kid went through maybe. And not to say that you did worse or they did worse, but it's just like they need to know that they can make a connection so that they know that there's obvious hope because they see that in you.
Yeah, and she did, and she's doing a lot better, but it's still hard on her. Yeah, and it's okay.
And these things can be so heavy, like I try to make I want to make people laugh when I talk about these things, and it's just hard because these are tough conversations you got to have, especially when you're, talking about things that you did that hurt parents or family that, I dealt with that in the beginning. Like, well, have I earned all that trust and respect back really yet,
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. And I worry about it. I did. I don't anymore. I think it's great now, but well, I've got a couple questions for you.
That's fine.
Now, listen, this is going to go pretty quick.
Okay.
Because these are called rapid fire questions.
Okay, well, don't make me anxious.
Breathe.
Okay.
You have to answer this as soon as I finish reading it.
I don't think that's okay with me. I think that I need to go.
Well, I just need you, whatever answer comes to your head, spit it out.
Okay.
Don't be like, try to file, going through your files.
Okay. I will try my best.
As fast as you can, rapid fire.
Maybe.
Ready?
Sure.
All right. Abbie. Person you would trade places with for one day.
My mom.
Guilty pleasure.
Food. Best
compliment you've ever gotten.
I love your glasses.
Worst piece of advice you've ever gotten.
Maybe you shouldn't eat that.
Something you wish you were better at.
Food. Making food. I like to bake and cook. So my life revolves around food.
I keep going back to the worst piece of advice you ever got. Maybe you shouldn't eat that.
Maybe you shouldn't eat that.
But I don't know if you're talking about drugs or the food or what,
It's your choice. It's been...
What will always make you smile?
Dogs.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have a pet?
I do.
How many?
One, her name is Lucy.
Lucy. That's my daughter's little baby doll's name.
It's
Lucy.
the cutest name. But it's spelled with an I-E, not a Y.
That matters.
My name is spelled with an I-E, not a Y.
I know. I saw that. And I had to go back and change it in my phone.
I'm very thankful for you. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Did you see my phone?
No.
Oh, but just to know that I changed it to the correct spelling.
Yes.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Look, I just want you to know that I'm so honored that you took the time to come over here on a Sunday afternoon and spill a little bit of your guts when it comes to what you walk through and just give us a peek inside of what your life is like or what it was like and what it's like now and the vow that you committed to yourself in order to be a better person.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You did a fantastic job.
I hope so, because I'm over here sweating.
Are you? Well, I can turn the air back on.
It's because I'm nervous. That's all it is.
Thank you so much, Abbie, for coming on the Recovery Valve podcast. It was my honor to have you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in today's episode of Recovery Valve Podcast. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you would like to connect with us, you can connect with us through email at recoveryvalve@gmail.com, our website, recoveryvalve.com, or you can find us on our different social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. But we would love for you to go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to pre-order a copy of my book, Marriage After Addiction, Take Back Your Life Together, you can do that through the store at exomarriage.com, or you'll see a link on any of our social media platforms. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Recovery Valve Podcast is brought to you by
Goldneck, Newsom Electric, S&S Supplies, Carpet Cleaning Pros of Augusta, Rhett Walker, Atlas Health and Wellness, Norval Fixture and Equipment, Augusta Lawn and Turf, Augusta Dream Center, Bagwell Insurance, Sally Kohler Photography, Burroughs Elijah, Attorney at Law, Communigraphics, Kendra Neal Studio, Kendrick Paint and Body, Coleman Construction, Augusta Magazine, Corbin Jones State Farm, Game Changers, Tree Guys with Ties, Penn Roofing, Aggressors Adventure, Posey Funeral Directors, Craig International.
And I want to say thanks to everyone else who's contributed to the Recovery Valve Podcast. We couldn't do this without you.